Hi, welcome to Mercurius Being Astro Update. This is a video for the energies and the aspects of the lunation, which will be exact on March 7th. It's a Virgo full moon, and for the Central Time Zone, it will be exact on 6:40 a.m. And I'll show the chart here. And again, it's going to be a little different configuration wherever you are at. And I just wanted to add that you're not imagining things. We did literally just have a new moon in Pisces on Monday the 20th, and I'm recording this, and today is the 23rd. I was going to record this ahead of time because I'm going to be traveling in the next couple weeks. I was going to record it and then upload it or publish it closer to the lunation, but I sat down today to start working on it, and the inspiration just kind of came through me, and it just kind of channeled this message today. And so instead of waiting and logically releasing it closer to the full moon, I decided to go with the flow of it, which aligns with the energy of this lunation, and post it today. So along with this video, I'm going to complete it, probably have a cup of tea, and then I'm going to record another video for the Saturn ingress Pisces. And the reason I'd like them to be in two separate videos is that the Saturn ingress Pisces is really going to be a guided kind of visualization meditation. And if you're like me, a lot of YouTube videos that I watch or listen to, or rather I listen to them. When I listen to some of my favorite people, I do that while I'm driving in my car. And I don't know if you do that or not, but this way you have this information, which can be car listenable, and then the Saturn ingress Pisces, which would definitely be a car parked somewhere experience, or I'm sitting at home in my meditation space or walking or something where you can visualize and meditate and not be driving at the same time. So this one, first one's a multitasker and the second one is not. So let's get started. So the first thing that came to me when I'm looking at the chart was all capital letters, perception. And then my sister's dear friend, and she's also a dear friend of mine, Barb, used to say this little twist on the Scottish poet Sir Walter Scott's poem Marmion. This phrase I'm sure you'll all recognize, and which many people confuse to be a quote from Shakespeare, but it's, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive." But my sister's friend and my friend Barb used to say, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to perceive." So I just wanted to give her that acknowledgement because I always thought that was so brilliant and so humorous. And the tangled webs we get into with our perceptions. So this Virgo full moon shift, I think it's a huge possibility for a really big shift in our perception, our ability to perceive and to perhaps untangle ourselves from all the webs of misperception. So every time, every day, every moment, every breath is a time for transformation in my book. I mean, that's just me, right? But it's possible for everyone, all the time, always, regardless of what's going on cosmically, etc. However, this lunation and this whole Pisces season is a particularly good time for transformation. And transformation in the sense of, and I'm going to hammer this home because I just talked about this on the Pisces new moon the other day, it's a particularly good time for practicing radical self-acceptance, radical loving wholeness, loving and radical compassion, okay? What was I going to say about that? It's a really good time for that. Hammering it home. Oh well, it lost me, or I lost it. At any rate, oh, the Pisces. Okay, so I'm still in that vibe, guys. In the last video, I did listen to it again, and I don't always do that, but I did notice I kept saying the end of the month, which, of course, it was recorded in February, and you may logically have thought, oh, she means the end of February. I do not. Whenever I said the end of the month in the last video, the Pisces new moon video, I meant the end of March, the end of Pisces season. So I am saying from the beginning of Pisces season, which was the 19th, the new moon was on the 20th, to the end of Pisces season, and the Aries ingress is March 20th. Aries new moon is March 21st. Pluto into Aquarius, March 23rd. And you got it, one more event, Mars into Cancer, which squares Aries, March 25th. So there's gonna be a huge shift at the end of March. So please go back and correct in your mind if you need to every time I said the end of the month. So I'm talking the end of Pisces season. So this is just this Pisces energy to me is just super huge and super awesome this year, this time around, okay? We have Mercury, the Sun, and Neptune all in Pisces. And it's a little wide. Mercury's at 7 degrees Pisces. The Sun is at 16 degrees Pisces. The Moon opposing at 16 degrees Virgo. Neptune at 24 degrees Pisces. We have Mars squaring both luminaries at 21 degrees Gemini. So we've got a lot of that mutable cross or T-square thing going on, and I'll touch on that. And as I said, it's a little wide, like Mercury's 9 degrees away from the conjunction to the Sun and the opposition to the Moon. And Neptune is 8 degrees away from conjunction with the Sun and opposition to the Moon. But because it's the Sun and the Moon, that, even though it's a wider orb, that really holds and really unifies and kind of spreads out the experience. Mercury is super strong in this placement. Mercury in Pisces, you know, increasing that ability to delve into the thoughts and energy of Pisces mentally and with integration, communication, poetry, music, meditation, writing, Mercury being a messenger and acting as a go-between and a mediator and gaining understanding. So it's all these mental and communicative energies of Mercury in the depths of the Piscean waters. Mercury rules Gemini, so it's the dispositor of Gemini, Mars in Gemini. Mercury rules Virgo, so it's the dispositor of the Moon in Virgo. So even though there's a lot of Pisces energy, we have Mercury really weighing in and aiding us in the water, the deep water of Pisces. I just feel this again is a radical shift in perspective, rooted in the radical shift of each of our individual perspectives. Okay, our personal perspective. Really great time for us to make these shifts. We make these shifts in our perception, and then it's released and really energizing the world. Okay, so it's like truly a grassroots movement. And in Pisces, I get a barefoot. This Pisces Neptune rules the feet. So barefoot on the grass, roots movement, grounding into the roots movement, playing outside on a beautiful day, roots movement, energetically accepting yourself type movement, energetically loving yourself type movement, energetically being compassionate to yourself type movement. And then, of course, all of that love and acceptance and compassion going out to everyone type movement. Because we all know when we're right with ourselves, we're right with everybody else. Like, the person in traffic doesn't annoy you when you're feeling good about yourself. You're like, oh, they got something going on today. That's cool. I can love and forgive that they cut me off, you know. But when we're not feeling right with ourselves, it's like, you know, damn it, why did they do that? You know, so I'm just saying there is just this huge month-long, season-long opportunity to just open up the gates of our hearts and see what happens in ourselves and in the world. So this Virgo full moon is really pushing us to break through the membrane that separates ourselves from the sense of our wholeness. Because we really are whole already. I know I've said that before, but we perceive ourselves not to be. So a misperception. The moon in Virgo, it's asking us to take care of our physical body, our temple, establish daily habits which support ourselves energetically, physically, emotionally, and mentally supported, so that we may do the meaningful work or have a meaningful contribution. Because everyone likes to feel purposeful, have a sense of purpose, have a sense of meaning, have a sense of belonging and contributing. Virgo, also the idea of mentoring and mentorship. Like, I pay homage to all the many teachers I've had and the traditions from which I've learned, and I do that by sharing and bringing forth that which I have learned. And of course, it's filtered through my own lens and my own perception. And so then also honoring what each of us have through our own lens and our own perception, and honoring ourselves again and honoring the lens and perception of others. The moon in Virgo is a lot about digestion and integration, taking some time to sit with all of this, sit with the allness of this. Just sitting it with the allness and allowing the mind, the emotions, and the body to feel and experience and digest and integrate our experiences. Not just to hustle off to the next experience, or not to just erase the past experience just as fast as you can, just wash it away. No, spending some time in the now, allowing oneself to catch up. Because there's a lot, like I said, of Pisces energy. There's this Mercury, the Sun, Neptune. There's a lot of oceanic and cosmic water energy. We are literally awash in possibilities. It's high tide, surf's up, the ocean is churning and rich with life. It can feel overwhelming, like these big swelling waves, and all the weight of that water. And as I did this, now I remember, I forgot to look it up. Recently I saw a movie about an Australian surfer who would go out with his brother and surf really, really huge waves in really remote places. I think it was called Heavy Monsters. I will look that up and add it to the information below. But the filming of that, you just get a sense of the weight of those big waves, the weight of the water. And when he did crash, you know, the weight of that coming down on him like a stone. So we think of this, oceanic waters and Pisces as being so soft and permeable, but it is really mind-boggling. The solidity of it, so huge and dangerous, And then at the same time, beautiful and blue and green and flowing. It's this idea of the power of the force of nature. However, we don't all need to be, nor do we want to be, big wave surfers, right? That takes a special blend of Mars and Neptune to have the courage, guts, physical ability, bravery, not foolhardiness, but like daredevilness, right? Okay. But maybe then I'm translating that to, so we don't have, and not all of us have that, to be the big wave surfer. I certainly don't. Even watching that, I was a little like, oh my God, this is amazing and tremendous. And then I'm also like, I can't even conceive of that. So we've got the big wave surfers, and then we have a lot of people who surf, which is also amazing. We have the people who scuba dive and snorkel. We have the people who swim. We have the people who sail on the ocean. And we have some people who like to take cruises on the ocean. We have people who like to wade into the water of the ocean, and we have people who like to swim along the shore or walk along the shore and just feel the gentle waves lap onto their feet as they walk on the sand. So, and a phrase that just popped into my head as I was writing this was like the idea of being Pisces averse. So that's kind of the idea. So we've got the big wave surfers who like physically surf in the big waves. And then people who are Pisces averse wouldn't want to dive into their own unconscious or dive into that big water of Piscesness, of wholeness, of experiencing all of that, losing oneself into it. So they kind of, those who resist wholeheartedly entering fearlessly into any experience of Piscesness would be the Pisces averse. That idea of I'm separate, I'm common sense, I am logical, and this isn't real. Reality is matter and physical form / materiality. And I'm not shading the Pisces averse. So, I'm just kind of really joking. I'm probably like common sense averse myself. So there we go. But I'm just saying, I really am not shading that. I'm just using the exact opposite of that. Like I'm not going to enter the waters, and that's okay too. However, if a person is very Pisces averse, they may have a little difficulty because the waters are rising. And this will be over the next couple of years as Saturn started its Aquarius / Pisces cycle, and Adam Gainsbourg just did an amazing webinar on that, and I'll put the link to that below. And Saturn's going to be in Pisces for the next 2.5 years, and then there'll also be another Pisces cycle after that. So I think I mentioned in the last video, Saturn's going to try to bring form to formlessness. So no matter where everyone's at, what their involvement with Piscean energy is, whether you're a big wave surfer to a shoreline walker, and everyone in between will be faced with Saturnian structures and organizations changing and taking on different forms than can even be currently imagined. That can bring up a lot of fear. If the structures you're used to, the structures you count on, the organizations that you count on, the systems and governments, etc., that we count on are changing, that can be really scary. It can bring up fear. You can't see in the dark water. You can't see in the deep water. You can't see and feel through the weight of all that water. It is beyond your control. It's uncontrollable. It's a force of nature. The moon in Virgo reminds us to root in our daily practices, our daily habits, the sense of breath and simple being, which is a meditation I learned from Kimberly and Jim Carson of Mindful Yoga Works. And I'm not sure if they have that on their website. I know I'll be touching on it in the Saturn and Pisces meditation that I'll be doing, but I'll also link them below. So we're rooting in daily practices, daily habits, the breath and simple being meditation, or any meditation that continues to ground you and be a very easy and as tangible as breath and centering are meditation. The moon in Virgo is discernment, so taking the time to discern our perceptions and the perceptions of others. Moon in Pisces, time for digestion and integration. And all of these practices will keep your head above the water. Okay? You don't have to dive in. You can come up for water. You're going to be buoyant through these practices. You're going to always be able to find the shore. You're always going to be able to connect to the next wave of the breath. So even if you feel like you have a wipeout in the Pisces water, you'll always be linked back up to the cycle and flow of your breath. Also, I'm just sharing friend stuff today. So my friend Paula just shared with me something really cool that's really relevant to this video. And it's from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 14, verse 14. And I did not look up the numerology to that, so you can do that if you want. And it is, when Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. The Greek word for compassion is splanchnizomai, from the root word splankny or splanchnizomai, at any rate. Interestingly, she brought up then, medically, spankniology is, in the medical sense, Greek term, medical sense, present day, is the word and the study for the visceral parts, or the study of the gut. It's a study of the organs of the body and the digestive, respiratory, and genitourinary systems. So Jesus, who is a fisher of men, very much the Piscean archetype, very much just we are ending the Piscean age, have already begun the Aquarian age, and as we're shifting between Saturn and Aquarius and Pisces, and then Pluto moving into Aquarius, where am I going with that? So just that idea of compassion and Pisces / Jesus, and rooting it back into the gut of digestion and compassion, healing their sick, feeling it in his gut, digesting / integrating into wholeness. And then with Saturn moving into Pisces, allowing integration, digestion, and immersion into wholeness, love, and compassion. And then just quickly, the two commandments from Jesus, the two big ones, right? Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, there's all thy soul, and all thy mind. And the second is like unto it. Also, these are from Matthew. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. So just talking about big, big, big love and compassion energy coming in at this time, and then the digestion of it. The Virgo staying in your bodies, staying calm and whole and able to integrate all of this energy. Mars in Gemini, squaring both the sun and the moon at this time. It is just continuing to push this polarity, this Pisces Virgo stuff, right? This interaction between wholeness and everything, seeing all the forest, and then the Virgo bringing it back down to the individual tree. Mars in Gemini saying, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't think you're perfect, whole, and complete? Like, okay, let's make a flow chart about that. Let's make a flow chart about all the feelings and the thoughts and the beliefs and all the data we can compile. And then in the Mars in Gemini kind of way, like, look at all this information, people, right? Don't freaking negate it. Don't not acknowledge it. And then Mars in Gemini is saying, WTF, what have I been doing in Gemini in your throat chakra for the last 7 months for? Express it, honeys. Mars in Gemini won't let this die. Like, just when you want to put it out to rest, like, yeah, okay. Mars in Gemini calls forth more beliefs, more patterns, more connections to question and explore. Nothing is off limits, and everything is on the table. So the empty leg at this time, at this lunation, is in Sagittarius. And so I'm just going to draw in what long-term goals, what overarching plans or overarching path could you realize or bring into being if and when you really believed you were whole and complete. If you were really filled with self-compassion and compassion. If you embraced the all of yourself, every single part. What goals, paths, plans suddenly do seem realistically possible? The fog lifting, clarity arising. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, is hanging out with Venus and Chiron in Aries, all ruled by Mars and Gemini. And all that Aries energy, I'm just simply going to say it's the archetype of just do it, okay? Expand into your enjoyment and your confidence, just do it and feel alive. Take the courageous steps, okay? This, well, then we have I'll just touch on Uranus in Taurus, is harmoniously aspecting both the sun and the moon. So maybe there are some sudden insights, some inspiration, some shakeups, some breakdowns that will lead to breakthroughs. So also kind of helping to maybe jar us out of old habits, old patterns, and bring, open up the new communications and connections that are necessary. This is a rich time of possibilities. Saturn does move into Pisces the same day as this Virgo full moon. It's only less than an hour later. And again, I'm adding a guided meditation for this. And then I'll be back sometime after the 15th to do a video on the Aries ingress, which is the spring equinox, and the Aries new moon, Pluto in Capricorn, Mars moving into Cancer. Like I said, action-packed. So again, enjoy this whole sweeping Pisces season. Use it to open up to all of these possibilities. Radical practice of all-encompassing love, compassion, and acceptance. Open up your heart and feel all of those things come in. The love, the compassion, the acceptance. It really is as easy as that. Until next time, take care.